Every now and then, you come across something in nature that just stops you in your tracks. Something so weird it almost feels like it can't be real. Well, today, we're going to look at a tree that does exactly that. It completely breaks the rules of how you think a tree should grow. So, let's get into it.
Okay, just look at this. Really look. You've got these clusters of fruit, right? But they're not on the branches. No, they're popping right out of the trunk, straight from the bark. It's wild. It looks like something from a sci-fi movie, but I promise you, this thing is 100% real. It's called the Red Jaboticaba, and it comes from Brazil.
And believe it or not, there's a word for this. It's called cauliflory. It's basically the botanical term for when a plant decides to flower and fruit directly from its old woody trunk or stems. It's a fancy name for what honestly just looks like magic, right?
But here's where it gets really interesting. This tree isn't just some weird curiosity you'd see in a nature documentary. The source material we're digging into today sees it as something much more, like a teacher. So the big question is, what can this strange, beautiful tree actually teach us?
All right, first up, a tree that fruits differently. To really get it, we have to look at how this tree just operates. It kind of marches to the beat of its own drum.
So, you know how everything today is about being fast, right? Quick results, instant gratification. Well, the jabotica is the complete opposite. It's known for being super slow, very steady, really intentional with its growth. It doesn't rush, it just takes its sweet time, building up this incredible strength from the inside out. It's this quiet reminder that, hey, some of the best things can't be rushed.
And that leads to this perfect line from our source. Its slowness is not stagnation. It is preparation. This is huge. It's not just sitting there doing nothing. All that slow growth, all that time, it's all preparation. The roots are going deeper, the foundation's getting stronger, long before you ever see a single piece of fruit.
Okay, so we have all this slow, patient preparation. And that brings us to the most mind-blowing part of this whole thing. Where exactly that fruit shows up.
See, you'd expect the fruit to grow on the new, little green branches, right? The fresh growth? But no, it pops up on the oldest, toughest parts of the tree, the main trunk, the thick branches, the parts that have been through it all, the storms, the droughts, you name it. The fruit comes from the parts of the tree that have history, that have endured.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? The part you thought was just there for support, the part that's just structural, suddenly becomes the source of something new and amazing. What we thought was just structure is actually where the production happens.
Which is captured so beautifully by this quote, "There is no wasted wood in the hands of the Creator." Wow. Think about that. It's this powerful idea that maybe the parts of our own lives that feel old or scarred or just there aren't wasted. Maybe that's exactly where something incredible is waiting to grow.
So we've talked about where it fruits. Now let's talk about the rhythm of it all, the rhythm of abundance.
Here's another cool thing. Once this tree gets going, it doesn't just give you one batch of fruit and call it a year. Nope. If the conditions are right, it can fruit multiple times a year. It's this amazing example of renewal, of getting another chance, and another, and another.
And get this, there's even a dwarf version of this tree. Look how small it is. You could grow it in a pot on your patio. But here's the thing that matters. Being small doesn't make it any less of a jabotica. It still produces tons of fruit. Its purpose isn't diminished by its size at all.
And that brings us to this powerful idea from the source. Calling is not determined by scale. We always think bigger is better, but this little tree is a quiet argument against that. It shows us that your impact, your purpose, it has nothing to do with how big you are. It's about being healthy, being rooted, and just doing what you were designed to do.
Okay, let's zoom in even closer. We're going to peel back another layer, literally, and look at the fruit itself, because even it has a story to tell.
So the outside of the fruit is this really deep, dark crimson color. It's got a tough skin, a really bold exterior. But when you get inside, you find this super sweet, almost see-through pulp. It's this delicate sweetness that's protected by that tough outer layer.
Externally bold, internally tender. This phrase just hits it perfectly, doesn't it? It kind of makes you wonder, maybe the things that make us tough on the outside are actually protecting something sweet and valuable that's growing on the inside. And there's one last piece to this puzzle. It's generosity. Think about it. By putting the fruit right on the trunk, it's not just for the birds or the animals that can climb way up high. It's right there, at ground level, for everyone. The tree is basically designed to share.
So what does the Jaboticaba teach us? After looking at all of this, what are the big lessons we can take away? Let's sum it all up.
First, fruit can grow from the places that have endured the most. Second, that slow growth isn't wasted time, it's preparation. We learn that being small doesn't limit your purpose, not at all. That renewal isn't a one-time thing, it can happen over and over. That being accessible is a form of love. And finally, that a hardened surface can often be protecting something really sweet on the inside.
And that leaves us with this one last, really powerful idea to sit with. The trunk that bears scars may yet bear abundance. It's this incredible reminder, right? That maybe the parts of us that feel the most worn down, the parts that carry the most scars, maybe those aren't endings. Maybe they're just getting ready to produce something amazing.